A very good morning, everyone. This is Ramya Karnam, Director Sales at Sunera Technologies. First of all, thank you very much for joining with us today for the webinar on the topic Reduce Your Testing and Release Validation Time for Oracle Cloud Applications by 50% at zero cost for 90 days. I will be moderating the today's webinar. I have with me my colleague Art Devereaux, Director Testing Practice. He has over 15 years of industry experience in quality assurance and engineering space. A few housekeeping tips. Audience will be on mute and questions will be taken in the last 15 minutes. Please post your questions in the Q&A section whenever you have one. Well, without further delay, let's begin the webinar. Over to you, Art.
Thanks, Ramya. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us for this webinar. As Ramya noted, we're going to talk about how we can helping customers reduce their reduce their testing and release validation time for Oracle Cloud applications by 50% through automation. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. So many of you, if you're either on your cloud journey, if you've begun it, if you're in the midst of it, really understand that the time commitment that comes with release validation for Oracle Cloud applications, particularly the quarterly release cycle. The time commitment in working with our clients, we have found is quite large. Customers that we work with are spending between 1,000 and 1,500 hours on average, either planning and testing each of their quarterly patch releases, which is a huge commitment. When you break that out over a year, that's between 4,000 and 6,000 hours of man hours spent testing and planning for each quarterly patch release validation. Okay, that equates to about 16 weeks on average. The number of weeks that the clients that we work with are spending as part of that testing and planning effort for the quarterly patch release validation. And it's the cycle for the quarterly patch release validation doesn't really provide a whole lot of downtime in between, right? Because you're getting a quarterly patch release quarterly, right? So 4 times a year, you're looking at about a 10-week period between each of the patch release validations. So it tends to come in waves. So as we've discussed, it is a large time commitment that many of our clients who have begun their cloud journey may not have realized from the get-go. And once they get into it, they realize that it does take away from their ability to continue to do the work that they're normally tasked with to make their organization run better and to drive improvements. So once you move to the cloud, the applications and the continuous delivery model that Oracle is fostering there's a huge number of benefits, right? You get the continuous innovation of cloud applications, right? That's why most organizations move to the cloud. You get faster delivery of new features and enhancements. So Oracle is constantly looking to improve the functionality of their platforms and deliver new business value to each of their clients. Another benefit is you have predictable timelines in the schedule. Each cloud client of Oracle is put into basically a cohort. So you understand you're going to get releases these 4 times a year. So you have predictability there. You have a schedule there, which is helpful. It reduces operational overhead, obviously, because you're moving to the cloud. And you're also getting, in addition to those new features and enhancements, you're getting fixes and improvements on that predictable schedule as well. However, once you move to the cloud, you have new responsibilities. There's a change in culture to keep up with that pace of change, right? Many organizations that we work with, that's one of the first things that they state when we started working with them is that there is this cultural shift, this mindset shift. It's really a paradigm shift from their old way of operating with on-prem applications once they get to the cloud. They have to be more nimble. They have to be ready to react to those changes and dedicate resources and time per the schedule that's basically laid out by Oracle. There really is a need, and this is the big piece from a time and labor perspective for that continuous regression testing. Many organizations don't quite understand that when they first get into it, but they quickly find out that the need for continuous regression as part of the quarterly patch release process can be a burden. you have to evaluate the new changes and plan for the adoption, right? So that's, again, a benefit of it is you're going to get new features, you're going to get new functionality, you're going to get enhancements. However, many organizations fail initially to realize they have to plan for that. How are they going to take up those new features, those enhancements, so that they can provide business value to their users? You're maintaining the continuity of your application, and you have, responsibility of keeping that application running while you're going through the update process. Okay. So continuous testing and the validation requirements do pose a challenge to many organizations. So let's talk a little bit about automation. So how does automation save time and minimize those business disruptions? Pardon me. So the first thing is when organizations look to automation, they're reducing the burden on their key personnel, allowing those personnel to focus on what their kind of, I want to call it their real jobs, but what their daily jobs are. They're not getting pulled into testing efforts. A lot of organizations leverage a combination of business personnel, subject matter experts in their area. If you have HR, if you have HCM, HR associates, HR analysts often get pulled into helping support testing because they really know the functionality of the application itself. So it's a combination of potentially business folks and IT professionals. So when you have automation in place, you're freeing up those people, you're reducing the burden on them to test and allowing them to focus on what their core job is. Agility in adapting to change. So the automation, again, because the burden of actual regression testing is taken on by the automation team, your really ability to focus on what changes are coming in, what are the feature enhancements, and how can they benefit the business. We give you some predictability as well, ensure quality rollouts. So the automation suite is run every patch release, and we'll talk in more detail, helping to ensure that you're not seeing regression of functionality in your production environment. And also, finally, it's lowering costs, right? Because of the model, automation is a way for companies to provide a cost-effective solution to also ensure those quality rollouts. Okay. Let's take a quick moment and we'll walk through a customer case study. This is a customer that has both HCM Cloud and ERP Cloud, right? So the solution we're going to talk about today, Cloud Tester, is not limited to any particular Oracle Cloud application. This client of ours is a leading integrated provider of construction, repair, and engineering services for basically power substations, transmissions, et cetera. So infrastructure. Again, they have Oracle HCM Cloud and they have ERP Cloud. And as you can see from the slide here, they have multiple modules within each. And we've worked with them to basically automate the regression testing of their Oracle suite of applications. This client has a very orchestrated manner in which they would like to test. We're currently executing over 600 test cases for them. And when we first met with them, they were spending on average of about 2,000 hours. So 8,000 hours a year, 2,000 hours per patch release. So they were invested significant amount of time and energy from their associate base to test each Oracle patch release. Okay, so it's a huge man hours investment for this client. And we've been able to come in and assist them with that. They realized fairly quickly after they realized how many hours they were investing in each patch release validation that they had to bring in some level of automation to reduce that burden on their staff. Okay, the quarterly patch release life cycle, pardon me about that. It basically, when we engage with the customers, is basically a 5-step process. The first step is we do an release impact analysis, where we go provide a comprehensive assessment of the changes that are coming in. Working with each of our clients, we have a good understanding of their implementation, and we provide them with an impact analysis report. Step 2 is maintain and execute. This is where we're maintaining the scripts that we've automated for each of our clients, and we're executing them and reporting results back to them. We provide what we call auto health check routines. And by that, we're looking for monitoring of transactional processes, of transactional performance. So if there's any process slowdowns, for example, we can alert the client to that and also work with Oracle to understand why that is happening. And we're also looking for role-based security breakdowns. Many organizations have a particular set of roles that they've configured in their application, in their system. and we're testing at that level. So we want to make sure that each of the roles that they have maintains the proper security from release to release. Should we find any defects and work with our clients to support or log in any SRs, when a fix is delivered, we go ahead and obviously we retest that and report the results back once the fix has been deployed to the test pod. That is included as part of the process. And then step 5, the last is we basically walk through the results with our clients and we receive their sign off and close out that testing effort. Okay. So what are the benefits of subscribing to Cloud Tester? So Cloud Tester obviously is the platform that is offered by Ceneratech. So it's proactive change and impact analysis for each of the quarterly patch updates. Our automation runs within the first 5 business days of the patch being applied, and that is our commitment to our clients. As many of you know, or if you don't know, if you're not quite there yet on your Oracle cloud journey, Oracle gives you basically a 2-week window to run your validations for each patch release, and many organizations use all 2 weeks to the very end. And through automation, though, you can cut that cycle in half, that testing cycle in half. The automation scripts can be completed within the first 5 business days, allowing you to, the second half of the testing window, to work on new features, potentially implement some of the new features. If you have any SRs or any defects or any personalizations or customizations or configurations that have been broken, you have additional time to work through those and fix those. Obviously, we're freeing up key personnel to focus on their business critical tasks. And automation is a great way to increase your test coverage. If you're in an organization and you're doing things manually because of your time restrictions, and potentially, obviously, also resource constraints, you have to really take a risk-based approach. You're going to focus on the big ticket items, the areas of the application that are most critical to maintaining your business continuity and functionality, and you may not have time to test other items such as integrations. And lastly, it allows the business users and the IT folks to focus on those new features and functionalities to make sure that they're adopting and continuing to enhance the application to provide business value. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Cloud Tester and what it is. Cloud Tester is an enterprise automation platform from Ceneratech. It is offered as a testing as a service model. So what that means is that it's not a tool that we offer on the marketplace, rather it's a service that is offered to our clients. The Ceneratech team is the one that does the capturing and configuring of the test scripts in each of our client environments through the Cloud Tester platform. So we're maintaining the scripts, we're executing the scripts, again, freeing up the key personnel within the IT and the business side from actually having to do the testing or even write the automation scripts. It's a continuous testing platform that is scriptless. And so when I say scriptless, the platform itself actually writes the automation code that is run against the Oracle Cloud application. So it's not a tool where you have to have, a specific group of users who are versed in, let's say, Selenium, who know how to write Selenium scripts or UFT scripts, for example. So the scriptless solution and allows us really a way to, it is the mechanism by which we can quickly maintain and execute the scripts because the platform is actually writing the code for us. So it provides obviously the automated test cases. We provide data management, test data management, reports and metrics, and also change management. And the Cloud Tester application platform can be used across a multitude of applications. It's not just Oracle cloud applications. We can also work with on-prem applications, any custom web apps. We support various integrations, both upstream and downstream within the application. So we can automate a full end-to-end business lifecycle and fairly complex business life cycles through the platform. So obviously we're doing functional and regression testing, integrations testing, end-to-end testing, and then again, the role-based security testing and transactional level performance testing, okay? Real quick, we're gonna go ahead and jump into a demo of the Cloud Tester platform. So I'm gonna leave the presentation here. And I'm gonna bring up the Cloud Tester platform. So this is the Cloud Tester platform. This is the main dashboard that all of our clients see. All of our clients have access to the Cloud Tester platform. It is available. It provides real-time metrics So this is the main dashboard where you'd see information on either test case development or test case execution. And it is configured for each of our clients. So they each have their own instance that is exclusive to them. And what they would see is the applications that they have listed here on the dashboard. So this is our demo instance. So we're looking at EBS, EPM Cloud, Finance, and HR. Each of these components here we can drill down to take a closer look at the test cases. We can do some sorting here if we would like to look at those test cases that are complete. If we want to remove, reviewed, and signed off. It just gives us a little bit deeper, a little lower level view of the test case status. We can select applications, we can select by module, we can select by product, etc. So this is the main dashboard. Okay. And let's take a look at a test case. So the test case, we're going to go ahead and search for a test case. This is, for an example, this is an HCM test case. This is hire an employee, all right? And the test cases look basically exactly the same regardless of the module. So whether it's an ERP test case, an SCM test case, an HCM test case, they all basically look the same. But for demo purposes, we're going to take a look at the hire employee test case. So the first thing that you see when our users log in and they search for a test case is the documentation validations tab. As we're capturing and configuring the tests within the client environments, we're capturing screenshots along the way. And that is all available, and it is auto updated. So anytime we update a script, the steps and the screenshots are also updated. So clients and customers can see what's going on. They can see the test steps. Here's a description of the test step. And the documentation is downloadable. So all of the documentation within the Cloud Tester platform is downloadable in a PDF format that can be stored on a document repository system of the client's choice, should they choose to do so. So we have some clients that would like all of the results documentation stored on a SharePoint or Wiki page. And they'd use that for automation, or I'm sorry, for audit purposes, and also for training purposes. We do have clients that use the documentation that's generated out of the Cloud Tester platform to train new employees on how the system works. And it also, again, is used for audit purposes. If they have an audit team that comes in and says what was tested, they can download the documentation and point their audit team to the documentation. Again, so here, basically what you see, the documentation is kind of high-level logistics of the test case, the screenshot, and the actual test description or test steps. The description of each of the test steps is configurable, so we can add as much or as little detail as the client warrants. And it is, again, it is auto updated every time we make an update. This documentation gets updated, so the documentation never goes stale. One thing we do find when working with customers is documentation at most organizations is the last thing that people want to do, and maintaining it can be burdensome. And we do find that a lot of organizations tend to let the testing documentation grow stale over time. Here we have the activity log. This is where we see a running history of any changes that were made or runs that were done for the test case. So if we had a test data set edit, you'd see that here. You'd see if it was downloaded, if it was run, etc. So you get a full accounting of the activity that was done for each test case. Test data management is key to any automation effort. So if anybody on the call or today participating has experience in automation from the past, whether it be with a standalone tool or another vendor, understands that managing test data for automation scripts is really the key to successful automation suite. We have various ways that we can manage the test data. So for test cases that have just a few permutations, we can enter them as single line items here. And basically the test case will iterate through that test data. If we're working with an application where we actually have access to the database, we can fetch that information in real time and use that through SQL queries to feed the data into the actual test case or test script. And if we have test scenarios that require a large data set, we can import that or upload that through a CSV file or Excel. And this functionality is really key because it really gives us the ability to do data-driven testing and allows us to leverage a fewer number of scripts, but through data permutations expand the test coverage. We do work with a client that has approximately 14 or 15 different types of employees that they hire. So what that allows us to do is the upload feature for the mass data upload allows us to iterate through data permutations via a single script, which provides a lot of convenience, and from a maintainability perspective, gives us a great deal of flexibility, because if we have to make changes, we're making it to the test data and not to the test script. And lastly, let's take a look at the run history. The run history is where you see an accounting of when the tests were run. You get a high level view. You can see pass fail rates. You can take a look at the individual test case. Okay, let's drill down a little bit. So here we see the test results, summary level at the very top of the page, where you see it's passed, the environment, the browser, the time it took. If there were any failed test steps, those are called out at the very beginning of the documentation. So for this instance of this test run, there were no failed steps. However, if there would have been, you'd see it right here at the very top, so you don't have to go rooting through the documentation to find the test step. And what we also do when we work with our clients is if we have a test script failure, we do a triage of the actual failure, because the failure could be for a number of reasons. It could be a network issue, a connectivity issue, for example. If that's the case, we'll just rerun the test case. It could be an actual problem with the test case itself that we need to make an update, to the test case. And again, if the test has failed because of the actual script and because the script needs an update, we'll go ahead and make that update and rerun the script to make sure that it's working. But also, if it is a failure, we'll do an actual triage of what we believe is the failure on the Oracle side. It could be an SR that we believe needs to be logged. It could simply be a configuration or personalization has been broken by the deployment. And again, this is downloadable as a PDF as well. Let's take a look at that. So again, execution results, the step, the test step, and the status along with the screenshot. And if we scroll down, we also get a very detailed summary level step-by-step assessment of each step along the way, the time it took, and the pass-fail. Okay. Another great feature of Cloud Tester is what we call test sets. Test sets allow us to string together component level tests so that we can make a very complex end-to-end scenario by using smaller test cases or test scripts and stringing them together. So for example, I'm just gonna drag and drop a few of these items over here. And basically what you'd see is, so these tests that were here, these could be run in parallel. Click on that arrow. And this here would require this first test script to run, and then this second test case 5978 would run after that. So basically what we can do is we can string together dependencies, and we can actually feed test data from one script to the next through the test set functionality. This really does provide us with a way to, again, build fairly complex end-to-end business type scenarios that our clients are looking for, and do that in a very efficient and effective way through the application and through the platform. And should we ever have to edit anything in a test set, we can edit the component level test case, and we don't have to rewrite the entire test set. Okay, so just a couple features that make Cloud Tester unique and provide a lot of value to our client base. Okay, let me go back to the presentation. So I know many of you might be thinking, so how does this work? How does Cloud Tester work? So really, my apologies. It's fairly straightforward. We basically, Cloud Tester is a consumption-based platform. So all of our clients are working on through an agreement with us where we sign up, we go through applications, we share the details, we provide estimates on the number of test scripts that we think need to be run. But again, it is a consumption-based platform. So customers are only paying for the number of test scripts that we write and execute. It is not like we have staff on site year-round that are idle for periods of time, as is what happens with traditional automation efforts. So the first step is sign up, where we basically go through and we do some estimations, and we agree on a price. The onboarding process is where we agree on scope. We set up the Cloud Tester access for the clients, And that's just where we go through the capture and configure of the automated scripts within the client environment. So each of the scripts that we capture and configure is specific to each client. It's not like it's shared across clients. Because we're doing it in that manner, we're capturing and configuring each client's personalizations and customizations in their environment. And those are the scripts that run in their environment. So we're not just running generic test cases, Oracle test cases. We're running test cases that are very specific to each of our clients to capture those configurations and personalizations, because that's where the real value is. So if we're just running generic test cases, you'd be missing a lot of potential functionality, because each organization customizes the step 3 would be once we get into the release validation process, we're executing and reporting results to our clients on a regular basis. When we're in a patch release lifecycle effort, we're reporting results on a daily basis. In addition, clients have access to the platform and they can view metrics in real time at any point in time. We retest any defect fixes that are delivered from Oracle during that window as well. And then the final results are posted and we review with the client and we go through a sign-off process. We also offer on-demand support to triage and fix configuration and personalization issues, and also Oracle SR management. We do work with clients and have taken on some of the tasks of actually logging and working with Oracle directly on each individual client's SRs that come out of the effort. Okay. So why Cloud Tester? There's been a lot of information that we've conveyed here. We've talked about how it's basically saving our customers approximately 50% of their time and effort. The one client that we had that was spending, because we're currently working with them still, they were spending, again, approximately 2,000 hours per release validation effort to get through their testing. That has come down by more than 50%. So their internal people are not spending 2,000 hours anymore. They're spending less than 1,000 hours across all of the organization. So that's a significant savings for them. Another aspect is this is the only test automation platform that is available on the Oracle Marketplace. So if you go to Oracle Cloud Marketplace and you look up automation tools, the only test automation tool or platform you're going to find is Cloud Tester. Okay, it is a platform as a service, so it is offered as testing as a service. So you don't need to hire experts in the Cloud Tester platform. We have the experts and we have domain expertise as well within the Oracle space, and we bring that to every engagement on all of our clients. It is subscription and consumption based, so it is very economical. It provides companies with flexibility. They're only paying for what they're using, and that's based on the number of scripts and executions that are going to be required throughout the year. We do have pre-built test cases for each of the Oracle Cloud applications, both on-prem and cloud, I should say. And this is really to serve as a guide. Some organizations don't have a really good testing foundation set up. And if they don't, they can use our test cases as a foundation to move forward and build out their testing suite and identify areas that they need to test. We talked about it before. Enterprise, this is an enterprise automation platform, so it is not only an automation platform that works on Oracle Cloud Apps. It does work on custom web applications as well, integrations, both upstream and downstream. Within the tool, obviously they have quality metrics dashboards. Test data management is obviously key. We talked about that a little bit before. And one key aspect that I didn't touch on earlier is our speed and ability to onboard new clients. Basically within 4 to 6 weeks of that agreement, we have the test suite, automation suite, basically up and running. And again, if you've had any experience with automation, standalone tools, dealing with hiring employees to run those tools, you'd be hard pressed to get an automation suite for any sort of application internally up and running in less than 6 months from an end to end. And the execution within 5 business days. And so that ability to quickly maintain, to capture the configure, and to run the test cases in a very quick, timely manner really does what sets Cloud Tester apart and gives us an advantage over many in the marketplace. Okay. That's about all I had for today. Ramya, so we can jump into the question and answers. I see there's a few questions that have been posted. If you'd like to go ahead and read those off.
Yeah, thank you, Art. So we have few questions here. So the first one is from Amy. Can we test our customizations using Cloud Tester?
Yes, yes. So the customizations and personalizations that are made within, within the Oracle application are captured as part of our capture and our onboarding process. So we're capturing each client's configurations and personalizations that make their instance unique. And again, the speed with which we can do that, in addition to the maintainability. So if a client makes different personalizations, changes to their configurations, we work with them prior to any of the patch release validation efforts to make sure that we can update the scripts and run those in a very timely manner. So yes, we did test the customizations and personalizations.
Okay, so the next question is from Jane. Does this solution also support load testing? How many concurrent users can be tested?
Well, load testing on a cloud application is a tricky subject because you can't really put load on the Oracle Cloud applications. So we don't really do load and performance testing in the traditional sense using the Cloud Tester application. We could, if you had a standalone web application, we could, and the concurrency can really be dictated by what the need is, right? Any load and performance testing effort, there's obviously some work that has to go into what sort of level of concurrency is required. But if we're speaking strictly of Oracle Cloud applications, we don't put load on the system because that's a limitation placed on us by Oracle. You can't really run a traditional load and performance test against an Oracle Cloud application. They don't really permit it.
Okay, so the next question is from Ruth. How do you handle data security?
So data security in the terms of PII data, we handle that in several ways. Yeah, we have clients that subscribe to Oracle's data masking as well. So if they're a client of data masking, that data is masked by Oracle, we do provide an alternative solution to Oracle, basically that we offer for free, that would basically go ahead and not mask but garble the PII data. So that we don't have viewable access to customer or employee data that could be sensitive. And in addition, the platform itself is hosted on an Oracle Cloud structure, so it is a very secure application. That data is not leaving Oracle infrastructure while we're running the tests.
The next question is from Jessica. Does this platform support for on-prem applications?
Yes, yes, we do. We do work with clients that have on-prem applications, Oracle EBS. So we do support testing of that. Just the life cycle of those is a little bit different because of how the upgrades work on-prem. Oracle customers can put off taking updates for some time. Mass updates, I should say, major revision updates. So yes, it does work for on-prem as well. Just the engagement model is slightly different.
Okay, the last question is from Sarah. Can you please let me know how long does it take for automation?
So I think Sarah, hopefully I'm not sure, but it sounds like you're referring to how long does it take for us to get the automation suite up and running. Basically, we can commit to basically getting an automation suite for any of our clients of typical size within 4 to 6 weeks. So that's from signing a contract to being able to position to run the full suite in a customer environment is a 4 to 6 week time window. So it is a very quick process for us to capture and configure. And again, because the platform itself is auto-generating the code, that process is very quick, and it's much faster than if you had brought in consultants that are writing Selenium scripts. Those do take some time to script. They need to be run. They need to be tweaked. And then in addition, with traditional automation, many organizations find that the maintenance aspect of the automation suite is one of the more challenging aspects of it. So traditional automation is always about a release behind. If there's any new features or functionality coming in, the automation team is always about a release behind in automating that. With the Cloud Tester platform, that is not a concern because of how quickly we can get the scripts up and running, and also how quickly we can maintain them.
Okay, so yeah, these are the questions, Art. Thank you so much, Art, for the informative webinar.
Okay.
And thank you all for your time today. And we
Okay.
hope it has been an insightful session to you. We will have the recording of this webinar posted on our website, which is www.suneratech.com. And we will also be sharing the PPT and a feedback form with you over an email. Kindly provide your feedback for us to do more interesting webinars in the future. Thanks everyone again.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Okay. Thank you, Ramya. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye.
Bye-bye.